Welcome to the Run Your Day podcast, a show dedicated to helping you expand your capacity, take your life in every area to an entirely new level, and creating a day and a life by design. Here's your host, Dan Hafner. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Run Your Day podcast. As always, Dan Hafner, your host here, creator of Runwage and founder of this podcast. Today's topic is this: be interesting and a little bit weird. As always, I appreciate you all joining. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit, little less formal. I mean, I'm pretty informal when I talk on here. I like to think, but today I'm just going to try and keep it real with you guys. So the more I've tried things, and the more I've tried to explore the different marketing and sales techniques and all the different cool things that are out there online today. The more I have found a lot of people have pretty bland stuff. Like it's very easy to just blend in nowadays. Even if you're trying to stand out, like even inside of your like career, right? Inside of a job, it's very, very easy to just conform and just go along or do what people say or do what you're told, to avoid sticking out, right? Like there's a Japanese saying that the nail that sticks out gets hammered, right? Um, but in this world anymore, you see apps like TikTok and all these different social media apps that come to the forefront of our lives, and like what type of content out there gets more views and makes headlines, right? It's the weird and the interesting ones, the ones that kind of catch you from a different angle, or they trigger like a different response in your brain or your eyes or something like that, right? So where am I going with all this, right? So I've just been noticing this trend, and it's not only just recently, but over, I just notice it more and more. There's this trend of, you know, you can either blend in or stand out. Like we all end up having this choice that we're given, not only, you know, in a larger sense of our lives, but like every single day. Like you have a choice of whether you want to stand out or you want to blend in. Now, the first thing of blending in is very, very easy, right? You can blend in when it comes to being around other people. You can tend to hide the real things that are going on for you. It's not comfortable to talk about or to speak about or to be about certain things when you're around certain people, and this kind of just leads to lying all the time, right? Like you're just not being genuine, you're not being honest, you're not really putting your best foot forward, and I went through a lot of this for a long time too, where you kind of you tell different people in your life different stories about who you are, what you're doing, what's going on for you, and the shitty part about that is that you have to remember all those stories, right? Like you have to remember who you told what to, and what lie you made up in this situation, and what stupid thing you told this person in this situation. And it all compounds on you, and it's very, very easy to get caught in that type of a lie, right? I used to be like this. Like I did when I used to work at a couple jobs I used to have. Like I would just do whatever it took to save face and to do what I was told, and to just kind of make sure that everyone at every level knew I was about something at one, in one way or another. And it got exhausting. Like it's mentally freaking exhausting to do that type of stuff, right? And this is why I think a lot of us struggle with energy and with bandwidth these days, especially in the midst of the coronavirus stuff, right? Because we're trying to be everything to everyone, and that's just really, really hard to do. Like it's just freaking hard to do. You can't be super mom and super employee or super boss. You can't be super dad and freaking Superman in the office, or slaying with your teams all day every day. Like everyone needs a break. Everyone needs to come down. Everyone needs to blend in every once in a while. right? And then the second part, is standing out. If you choose to stand out, there's a whole different game that naturally opens up when you make these choices, right? If you decide, like, one day you get out of bed, right? You get out of bed and you say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to be a rebel today. Like, I'm just going to do some different shit. I'm going to stand out. I'm going to I'm just going to do something, whether it's in a marketing initiative or a Facebook Live you want to do, or you just want to do something crazy for your spouse, or like whatever it might be. You just get like this notion to just be like, you know what? I'm going to stand out today. I'm going to do something extraordinary or different. There's this game that opens up with it that not a lot of people are prepared for, right? You're not prepared for the possible negative consequences that might come with that. You're not prepared for the fact that people might not like what you do, or it might go against what people are expecting you to do. And then you like build this story up in your mind that, like, oh my God, this thing's going to be awesome. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be so cool. And then it flops and you're like, shit. You're beating your head against the desk. You're like, damn it. Why didn't this work? This was supposed to be the coolest thing ever. That's just not how it works sometimes. Sometimes it does. Sometimes that does happen. But more often than not, there's a game that opens up when you decide to stand out that creates chaos and confusion in your life, which is okay because that's where you grow. That's where we all grow. You don't grow by blending in, right? Like, you might maintain the status quo, you might stay where you are, you might stay comfortable and everything will stay the way that you like it and that you're comfortable to be. There's this shell around you that's like, everything is good. Everything's all right. I've got this figured out. But that's not where growth happens. I'll have you consider that's where death happens. That's where death happens, right? Because if you're wired like me, if you think like me, which if you listen to this show, you probably do, staying still sucks, right? Being in the same situation with no freedom, with no capacity to create sucks. It's awful. It's constricting. It's terrible. It's not fun. So when you wake up and you have this thought of, I'm going to stay the same today, you're like, ugh, you're like crawling in your skin because it sucks. You don't want to do that shit. And but then we also, people like you and me, we get this notion that we want to stand out, right? But we're not willing to take all the different negative feedback that comes with it. We're not willing to stand and to take a stand for, hey, you know what? I'm going to stand out because I am going to live with integrity. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to make this initiative. I'm going to stand for this value, whatever it might be. Because more often than not, you're going to have persecution. You're going to have hate. You're going to have ridicule come your way. And you got to be ready to deal with that, because that's just part of the game when it comes to standing out. That's just how it works, And I've experienced this in some of the YouTube videos I've done, some of the email campaigns I've done, some of the different sales initiatives I've done. Like, it's how I know. Like, it just happens. When you decide that you want to do something a certain way, there's always going to be people that think that it's wicked, that it's stupid, that it's ridiculous, that it's dumb, that you're an idiot, you got your head up your ass, like, name it. You name it, right? So when you make that decision, you have to be prepared that that's going to happen. It's going to happen. And once you learn to be okay with that, this other space opens up. And it's beautiful because you start to not give a shit about what other people think about you, right? And this kind of goes back to the title, right? Being interesting and weird. How many people that that are, quote, interesting and or, quote unquote, weird, that just don't give a shit about what other people think of them, right? It's like an envious thing for some of us sometimes. We're like, man, like, I really wish Like, even if you don't say this out loud, you're thinking like, man, I wish I could live that authentically. Like, I wish I could just go around with that attitude that that person has. Well, guess what? You can. You can. You have to just let go of this comfort, of this willingness to stay the same and just be willing to own your freaking weirdness. Like, own who you are. I'll never forget a guy I used to work with. He used to say, Dan, you just need to Dan the shit out of everything. Just Dan the shit out of it. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Right. And then I finally understood what he meant. Like, I need to make things mine the way that Dan Hafner can make them, right? Not the way that you can make them, or not the way that somebody else can make things or do things or say things. Like, I need to own the authentic me and bring the deep parts of me out into the open and just let it be seen because it's freaking awesome, right? It's freaking awesome. And I'm a weird motherfucker. Like, I'm a weird dude, right? I try to keep the weirdness turned down a little bit on this show sometimes, but like, I am. You ask my wife, like, I'm a weird freaking guy. But in the end, like, I've learned to let go. I've learned to let go of what other people think, even the people closest to you, right? Like, that's one of the hardest parts. It's just being like, you know what? It's okay. I know you're going to think that this is weird. I know you're going to probably persecute me. I know this is not going to be comfortable, but I want to be interesting. I want to be weird. I want to be authentic. And this is what I got to do. And owning that is going to put you into a place of power that very, very few people actually get to experience nowadays because we're all stuck in this comfortable, stupid shell that we never can get out of. So, my question for you as a wrap up today: where have you faded into the background? Where have you chosen that comfort? In what area of your life? You know, what, why, and why have you done it? How can you start to be interesting and weird and start letting go? Just start letting go of what people think, of even what you think, and step into that authentic, weird version of you that we all know and love. That's my question for you. That's my challenge for you. Okay. All right, my friends, that is all for today. As always, I appreciate you joining. Really liking the feedback I'm getting from the new episodes here. Keep it coming. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, so that's about it, my friends. If you haven't already, download the Runway Jap. It's at runwayjap.com. It's freaking sweet. We got some new shit coming. It's going to be awesome. Also, I have an interview dropping here with Jim Lynch, which I kind of alluded to yesterday a little bit. So that one's going to be coming out soon. So be on the lookout for that one. And yeah, that's about it, my friends. So step into your weirdness. Be interesting. Be weird. Just freaking own it and get some shit done. All right, my friends, Dan Hafner signing off. Make it a great rest of your day. Hey, have you ever thought about joining a virtual run challenge? As COVID-19 continues to upend our lives and change our life routines, finding fresh ways to challenge yourself physically can be difficult. I know I'm having trouble with that. It can also be pretty hard to connect with others and find accountability partners for the purpose of fitness as well. That's why we created Runwage Virtual Challenges. Runwage Challenges are a new and exciting way to stay physically active and maintain social distancing. Every challenge takes place 100% online, and you can compete against and engage with runners from all over the world. Best of all, they are the only virtual challenges out there which actually reward participants with real cash. That means you have no excuse for staying inactive during this pandemic. So if you've been looking for a fresh and interesting way to stay active and get your miles in, go to runwageapp.com/virtual challenges to join me and the diverse community of runners already competing. That's runwageapp.com/virtual challenges. Can't wait to see you there.